Coming up on Currently, shrimp farming, expanded ambulance services for Traverse City, and another round of retail and restaurant news. That's all ahead on Currently. Welcome to Currently, where we discuss some of the top local stories directly from the journalists who are covering them. I'm your host, Christal Frost, and this podcast was recorded on Thursday, January 29th. The Super Bowl is set, and I can't help but feeling a little bit bored already as the Patriots take on the Seahawks. I'm told the Seahawks are exciting. We shall see. Support for Currently comes from West Shore Bank. When you choose West Shore Bank, you're not just choosing a bank, you're choosing a partner committed to the well-being of our community. You can visit them today on 8th Street or at westshorebank.com. Currently is also proudly sponsored by the National Writers Series, the premier home of passionate readers who love inspiring conversations with best-selling and award-winning authors. And support comes from Old Town Playhouse, where community comes together in downtown Traverse City. Find out about all of their upcoming shows, including Misery, starting in February. Welcome to our friends, Beth Milligan, head writer for Traverse City Ticker, Art Bukowski, who is everywhere, writer for all of the Eyes Only Media stuff.
Well, yes, as I always like to explain to everyone, Christal, Eyes Only Media, the Ticker, the Leonard Ticker, Northern Express, and the Business News.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. I write for all 4 of them.
You write for all of them.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is exciting. How you doing, Art?
I'm doing great. How about you?
How's your new year?
You know, it's doing great. I could use a few less snow days, but other than that, we're fine.
Tell that to your children.
Yeah, Beth said, you know what? So recently, as of the last snow day, my one daughter said she wanted to go back to school. Do you have any idea how many snow days you have to take before the kids want to be back in school? That's how many we're at.
It's been a crazy last week.
Or maybe they just don't like hanging out with you, buddy.
Oh my goodness. It's been too much.
Yeah,
It's been a lot.
I agree. Well, we have some really great stories that we're going to talk about today. And one from earlier this year, which is funny to say because it was only like a few, 2 weeks ago. But I like to say earlier this year. And this is a story that you wrote, Art, about locally grown shrimp. It's shrimp farming. And I really feel very passionately about this subject.
Tell me more.
I'm obsessed with this idea. I think it's a great idea, but I have some deep thoughts about shrimp, and I'd like the camera to come in a little closer as I launch into my monologue. Are you ready for this?
She's warned me about the monologue. I don't know what she's going to say.
I don't believe shrimp are from this earth.
Oh.
I just don't. I think the ocean is clearly a portal. It's a shimmering doorway to another dimension where evolution went absolutely rogue because there is no way that we all looked at shrimp or any crustacean really and said, yeah, this makes sense. This belongs here. They have too many legs. They look armored. They glow. They scuttle like they're late for a meeting that nobody knows about. That's not an animal, that is a visitor. So, when I hear that locals are trying to grow their own shrimp, I'm like, science fiction, right? It is. It's science fiction. And then they call it shrimp farming. And I also immediately picture a shrimp wearing a straw hat in a field, gathering corn. One of them is leaning on a pitchfork, wiping his brow. And he's like, hot one today, Earl. That is shrimp farming. Okay. I know that this is going to be a great conversation, though, because they have this figured out. They have water chemistry systems, all sorts of other things. But here's the thing. I think shrimp are from a different planet, and that is it.
I did not ask them if their shrimp are aliens, so I don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, shrimp are amazing when they come directly on my plate.
Yeah. A little
Peeled,
cocktail sauce.
ready to go, cocktail sauce. And if these farmers are going to make that easier for me, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So tell me about this.
Well, it's an interesting operation. It's aquaculture, basically. So, if you look at the total amount of shrimp that's consumed in the country, the vast majority of it is from Southeast Asian shrimp farms. So most shrimp is imported. There's obviously some wild-caught shrimp, but the vast majority of the cheap shrimp on the trays that you're getting at Costco or Meijer, the overwhelming majority of that's coming from Southeast Asia. And there's a lot of considerable environmental concerns with how those shrimp are produced.
Yeah.
There's concerns about what kind of contaminants are in there. There's obviously a lot less regulation, et cetera, et cetera. So anytime you can grow something locally, and you can control exactly the inputs, the outputs, et cetera, it's good. But it's just, I think, unique from the fact that they're doing it right here in Traverse City. What was crazy to me, it actually reminded me of one of my favorite observations in all my years of living in Traverse City. Years ago, I was at the Cove in Leland. And I was sitting out there on the deck. It was a summer day. And this waitress was there, and she was behind us, was our waitress with a couple of other people. And this lady, she asked the waitress, she says, "Excuse me, are these shrimp local?" And I saw this waitress freeze. And she didn't know, do I call this lady an idiot? What do I say about this? And after the longest pause, she finally goes, I'm not sure, and just walks away. But the point of what I'm saying is what I found out from interviewing them for the story is a crazy amount of people don't understand that shrimp are saltwater creatures that can actually be grown in the bay.
Right.
They're, they have to be reared in a tank. But they said they were getting questions about like, are you doing this in the bay? I was like, no, these are shrimp, for gosh sakes. But they're doing it here. They're the only right now active operation in the entire state of Michigan doing this. They're one of only a few in the country that are doing this inside, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So inside internal shrimp aquaculture in tanks. They're one of a very few doing it, but the product is phenomenal. If you look in the story, I talked with Jake Caberly. He owns Burrett's. And he says that they just, they pride themselves on good seafood over there, wild caught shrimp. And they says this stuff stacks up. It's good stuff. Carol, I talked to, she's really, really specific about the feed. Like with a lot of stuff, it's what goes in comes out.
Yeah.
So they're really specific about water quality, feed, all that kind of stuff. They went through jumped through all the hoops to get all the appropriate approvals, so their operation isn't damaging to the environment, but it's just really neat.
I love the way this sounds. Carol told you that she wants to have a shrimp empire.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who doesn't want to have shrimp at the ready all the time.
I mean, that always that makes me go to Forrest Gump, of course, immediately.
Well, what she meant by that is what they realized what they're doing is very scalable. And the thing that's interesting about their operation is kind of what they're doing now. They sort of like, they're putting a square peg in a round hole, and that they had a building, they built some tanks, they're doing it. But now, if they expand in a modular system, they're going to build a building specifically for it, temperature controlled, et cetera, et cetera. They can do this better. And she wants to be able to produce a lot of high quality, affordable protein. And she's excited about doing it and being able to scan and find out, what batch it came from, how old, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And she's very excited. It's not an ego thing for her. She just really believes in what they're doing. And again, the people that have bought it and have tasted it have said it's phenomenal.
What do you feed shrimp?
Well, all kinds of feed. There's all kinds of different feeds. So usually there's fish meal and stuff like that goes into it. I don't know exactly what they get.
So shrimp eat fish?
Well, all aquaculture feed. I got to be careful because I don't know what they're using. But most aquaculture feed of all kinds, whether it's food for fish or crustaceans, is fish meal of some kind. There's a whole gigantic industry that processes smaller forage fish into fish meal to support other aquaculture endeavors. I don't know what they feed. I know that they source the highest quality feed. Carol was very specific about that, and I believe her. It wasn't just a line, because that's part of what makes their stuff taste so good.
Yeah.
You have to give it quality feed. That's just part of what it is.
She said it's sweeter, better tasting shrimp.
Yes. And the other thing that they say is because it's fresh and because it's local is that it takes about half the time to cook. So that's a big educational thing for people is, their shrimp, a lot of it, you can get it fresh. I mean, think about this. You're in Traverse City, Michigan, hundreds and hundreds of miles from the closest ocean, and you can have shrimp that's been raised and never even frozen. Now, of course, they do sell frozen product, but you can sell, and if you know anything about consuming seafood, if you can have it before it's ever been frozen, that's just as good as it gets.
Okay.
And their stuff is fresh enough that they say you have to be prepared for it cooking in about half the time that you would cook the store-bought stuff.
And, I mean, let's just talk about the shipping of it. It hasn't been on a plane or sat on a boat.
Yes. It hasn't sat around, and it's just a fresher product. And they're doing it right there in Williamsburg.
And we can get this where now?
They've got it in all the big players, Burrett's, Max Bowers, Oriana. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. I don't know if you can buy directly from them. What's interesting is they have their licenses only as an aquaculture operation, and they don't have the ability to process. So you have to buy, these are all still head-on.
Yeah.
Armor on, as you were calling it, their shrimp. Yeah, the shell on. So you do have to shell it, and there's a little bit of consumer education about that. But, yeah, you can buy it in all your gourmet spots in town.
We should try it.
Yeah, I think we definitely got to do a taste test on the show. And I would just say, I know Art's a big fishing guy. I would just say, as someone from both an environmental and a health perspective, there's definitely been a push to try to move away from red meat and consume more fish, and especially sustainable seafood like sardines and anchovies, things like that. really care about the ocean. So that's a big thing. And it's been interesting to see, like I love tin fish, which is a great way to consume it. Great Lakes tin fish is like, doing tinning fish from around the Great Lakes, whitefish. So there's definitely been more. It doesn't have to just be these East and West Coast businesses. Like we do have sustainable fisheries here as well. If the companies are doing it right.
I want to take a tour and I want to try it.
Yeah.
I think that'll be great. Also, let's be honest. Do you actually think that shrimp are from this planet?
I mean, who is anymore?
I don't know for sure.
We're all from outer space, technically. If you want to get scientific about it.
Yes.
But the other thing I think that's neat about these two is that they're both still active, longtime realtors. Like this is not.
They're doing this on top of real estate.
Yeah, they like literally they have been in the business for a long time. They're respected local realtors. They've been around for a long time, and they're doing this kind of as a side gig. She went back to school for a marine biology degree, I think that's what it was, and she was writing a paper, a dissertation, or whatever the terminology is, about shrimp aquaculture and a lot of the damaging aspects of it, especially with these overseas farms. She's like, well, why are we not doing this here?
Do that here?
And and now they're doing it, and it's really cool. And I hope to see them expand.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Also, I mean, how do people get that motivated?
It was
to go back to school.
I feel it just makes me
But
feel
the thing
tired.
it is, that was the one thing they told me is once you get all this set up and kind of running, it doesn't require as much work as you would think. I can't remember. I didn't end up putting it in the story, but I think they told me it's something. This is off the top of my head, 5 to 10 hours a week or something maybe.
Wow.
It's once it's going, it's kind of runs itself, sort of. I have aquariums at home. It's not the same as running a shrimp farm, but they require maintenance. But once they're up and running, done right, it's not a huge deal.
Well, Art, fantastic story. Thank you for that. We're going to start, maybe we'll do a field trip next time.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so much
Take
fun.
the people down right in there to the shrimp farm.
We're going to come back and have a story all about the Traverse City Fire Department and their progress toward ambulance expansion. But first, a word for our lead supporter, West Shore Bank. And Traverse City friends, if you're anything like me, January is when I am craving a fresh start. After all the holiday chaos, I just want to take a breath and regroup and feel a little bit more in control of my money. That's why I've been loving the Savings Center from West Shore Bank. It is right inside the WSB Touch app, and it makes saving feel simple, not stressful. Very, very big bonus there. I can set goals for the year ahead, automate transfers, so it's basically on autopilot, and even round up my everyday purchases, so I'm saving without even thinking about it. Now, whether I'm trying to bounce back after the holidays or plan something fun down the road or spending all of my money on live performances, you can find some more breathing room in 2025 with the Savings Center. It helps me stay on track. And I love that West Shore Bank is local. These are real people in our community offering real support. So here's to a calmer, more confident new year when you open the WSB Touch app and you check out the Savings Center. Do it today. West Shore Bank, saving made simple. Products and services may require enrollment. Other terms, conditions, and fees may apply. Now, we are back, my friends, with a great story that you did on Wednesday, Beth, about the Traverse City Fire Department.
Yes. So this was an update from the fire department to the Traverse City Commission, their study session on Monday. So in 2023, the voters in Traverse City approved a 20-year millage to fund the fire department becoming the primary ambulance provider for the city.
Oh, I remember this. Yes.
So since that time, because that expansion requires pretty significant investment in both new equipment, such as new ambulances, as well as staffing, it's taken some time, and they knew it would to get to this transition point. So they have been working over the last 2+ years to get ready for this. Originally, the goal was to go live this July. That looks like it's likely to be delayed. So they do have their ambulances on board. One is already in service. The other one's getting ready to go out this summer. But staffing has been the main challenge with this. So nationwide, there has been a staffing shortage in a lot of these fields, firefighting, police, a lot of these kind of public service oriented industries. It's challenging.
Yeah.
A lot of younger people aren't coming into it. Municipalities are having a hard time offering a good living wage, especially in an expensive community like Traverse City. So the update from the fire department is that the good news is in December, the city commission approved new union agreements for firefighters. Those pretty significantly raised the rates that we're paying the staff, the firefighter paramedics, raised benefits. And Chief Toller said when they did that, they've started to see their phone lines picking up, essentially. Yeah. Now it's a little more attractive for recruits, which are very competitive across the country. They need to fill 8 positions by this summer, though, before they can do this. So realistically, the time it takes to bring someone on board, there's probationary periods for firefighters. They're not going to be ready for summer, but they did say with this new wage package that it's looking a little bit more attractive, and they're getting there. They're working towards this goal.
It's amazing to me that that department operates with the limited staff that they have right now. I mean, they have 16 firefighters on staff?
Yeah, so they said that, again, we're eventually, the budget in the department is to get to 36 full-time employees. Wow. That's what they have budgeted. They currently have 16 firefighter paramedics and 6 firefighter EMTs, and then a couple administrative staff. The other challenge for the fire department, on top of, just staffing up and getting ready for this transition, there will be no lapse in service in the meantime. They do have a contract with MMR, which is a local company that helps with ambulances right now. But the other issue is that Chief Toller is retiring this spring, and he's been with the department forever.
100 years, even though he's only 40.
Yeah, he'll be a younger retiree. Yeah. But a really, well-known and respected head of that department for a long time. So anytime you're replacing someone who's outgoing, just like we saw with Jeff O'Brien at the police department a few years ago, that also adds. So there's just a lot of influx for the fire department, but they felt like they have, the right attraction, like recruitment packages, and the right staff that are there now to help with this expansion. It's just a matter of Chief Toller's words, we got to get it right before we launch the service to make sure it's safe and effective, essentially.
Chief Toller is amazing, by the way. I just think he's one of the nicest guys out there. Yeah. I mean, 100%. So we will miss him.
Chief T.
Yeah, Chief T. You got to love that. It is amazing, though, because firefighters are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Holidays, they have to be staffed up all the time with a full crew, right?
Yeah, and they're also they're expanding not just with staffing equipment, but also space-wise. So we've talked on the show before, there's some changes happening on West Front Street where the fire department is. They're slowly moving into that building that the city owns next door where the Commission on Aging and MSU Extension was. They've already started to expand in it, so those county officers are moving off-site somewhere else. Yeah. So they're growing on West Front. They've got room for those folks, but it's just a matter of time of getting it up and running. So in the meantime, we'll still have MMR helping with ambulance services until it could even be delayed a quarter or two, they said, until it's ready to roll out.
Well, thanks for bringing us that story, Beth, and I know you'll keep us updated on that as well. We're going to come back with another retail and restaurant roundup, my favorite, but right now, a word for our friends at the National Writers Series. And I want to share something really special that is happening with one of those, my favorite organizations, frankly, in Northern Michigan, the National Writers Series. And if you've never experienced the National Writers Series before, it's one of the coolest things we have here. They bring world-class authors and conversations right to our community. And honestly, it's like a bright spot that makes Traverse City feel bigger than it is in the best possible way. Coming up next, an evening with James Martin, S.J. That's happening on Tuesday, February 10th. So that is the show that we're promoting right now. It happens at 7 o'clock, and this is a virtual only. So you can watch it from your couch or your kitchen table or wherever you are. Father James Martin is a Jesuit priest and best-selling author, and someone a lot of people recognize from national media and the podcast world. He's known for his thoughtful, welcoming approach to faith and humanity, and he's interviewed notable guests, including Whoopi Goldberg and Cardinal Timothy Radcliffe, and Pete Buttigieg. He'll be featured in conversation about his book, Work in Progress, which is a memoir told through the jobs that shaped him, everything from being a busboy and a dishwasher to a caddy to a corporate job, all the way to becoming a priest. And Martin will be joined in conversation by journalist John Dickerson, whose extensive TV and interviewing background will promise to make the event inspiring, funny, and deeply relatable. So mark your calendar for February 10th, 7 o'clock. Grab a virtual ticket and treat yourself to a night that's going to leave you thinking and probably smiling too. Get your tickets now at nationalwriterseries.org. and we'll see you there online. And coming back, my friends, to the retail and restaurant roundup. Beth, I love it when you do these. Thank you for doing them. I feel like we've had a lot of culinary news, and this is a story that's talking not only about culinary stuff, but also about some retail stuff.
Yeah, so this story is out today, Friday, when the show airs in the ticker, and we had some updates on a couple different things. One of which is a story that originally my colleagues at the Leelanau ticker were covering, which is the Folded Leaf bookstore out in Cedar in Leelanau County. They've had a very tumultuous year dealing with some building constraints out in Cedar that have made it difficult. They've had to stop doing live events, like a lot of the things. The bookstore had really built a very active community out there, and of course there's little pockets here and there of little bookstores out in Leelanau County, but there wasn't really anything like this in Cedar before. So they have found a new home. They are coming to Traverse City. They're going to be opening in the Common Grounds building on the corner of 8th and Boardman there. So when you walk into Common Grounds, right to the right there, that big kind of sunny space, they call it the aviary, the windows face 8th Street there. They're going to be in that spot. So they're moving in February 1st. It's a little bit smaller than their space in Cedar, but Rachel, the owner, when I talked to her, said they'll still have, kind of the same concept, new and used books, art. They'll have like Great Lakes Tea and Spice, Higher Grounds products. And they're still hoping to do all of the kind of same things they did out in Cedar with, book club events, fundraisers. They've been very active in the community with different kind of give back programs. So still hoping to do that at the new location. They're targeting a March soft launch and then a grand opening at the end of April. One thing Rachel really emphasized to me, and I know this was kind of agonizing for them as they were trying to figure out what to do in Cedar, is that is really their home. They love Leelanau County. She did say that Leelanau is going to be an important part of their future. She's partnering with different businesses in Leelanau County to host like Folded Leaf Presents concerts.
Oh, nice.
Still out there even after they moved to Traverse City. And then in Cedar, there is a historic bank building that's being redeveloped out there. She's in talks with the owner of that to potentially have a permanent home in Cedar in the future in that building, which would be a second location. So she has TC and Cedar in the future. But at least for now, it's like a promising start for what had been a very roller coaster story for her of where she was going to end up. She's got a home that she feels good about in TC now.
I mean, so they will be open for now, though, at the same location?
So right now, they're still open in Cedar.
Okay.
She said, they will post updates on their Facebook page when that location is closing.
Okay.
And they're moving to TC. And again, the TC opening will be likely in March sometime. So we have some time. So if you can still go to Cedar if you are out there, and then just keep an eye on their page when that shut down and they move to transition to TC.
I'm so glad they found a new home, but man, what a tough year.
The bummer about Leelanau.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know like the community out there has really rallied behind her, and hopefully between the concerts that she's planning to do at Leelanau County and then eventually finding a new home
space.
There, potentially. Yeah.
And then she just doubles. Yay.
Yeah.
That'll be great. What else is going on?
Yeah, so we had some downtown news. I spoke with Mary Westbrook, who is opening in late February is her goal, a new dessert cafe called Clean Crumbles. She's going to be taking over the entire ground floor of the Kayak Bike and Brew building on West Front Street. So Kayak Bike and Brew is going to move their stuff downstairs. She'll have that whole ground floor. And her emphasis is she, about a decade ago, she said she's always loved baking. She developed a lot of severe food intolerances.
Okay.
So 100% of all of the food and beverages at the cafe will be gluten-free and dairy-free.
Oh, fantastic. That's the clean.
The clean.
Yes.
Minimal clean ingredients is her focus. So she said things like she's been doing the last couple of years, she's been selling things as like a side hustle to test out her product and get people interested. She said she thought she wouldn't actually open a cafe for another decade, but this space came open and she's like, it just felt right and I had to go for it. So she went for it. She was talking about things like cinnamon rolls, mini pancakes, banana bread, protein bars. She'll have a coffee bar and a tea bar. And I think maybe something that'll make it a little bit different than the other places in town. We do, of course, have Third Coast Bakery that does a lot of gluten-free things. But her hours, for one, she plans to be open later in the evening. A lot of bakeries do close early in town. So if you're 9 to 5, it's sometimes hard to get to them. And then in the summer, she has a walk-up window that she said will be be open like late night
nice.
for people to grab treats. There's also room in the cafe to like have a lounge. So it's not just go in, get something from the case and walk out. There'll be seating areas, books, magazines, board games, that kind of thing.
So if it's clean and natural, that means I can eat twice as much, right?
That's how I looked at it. Yes.
I mean, 100%.
It's like when I eat like 3 vegetables on Super Bowl night and then I just eat 5,000 calories
like,
of everything
I've
else.
done my duty.
Like, it's healthy.
Paid my dues. Oh, I love it.
And then just a few other quick updates I'll mention. I was excited for this because I live out on Old Mission.
Yeah.
Peninsula Market is expanding a little bit to add a hardware department in their store, which is so exciting.
My gosh, I love hardware departments.
Us, because I will tell you right now, as someone who lives out on Old Mission and near the end, that if you forget, a box of nails or something for a product, having to go all the way to Lowe's is kind of a pain. So they've been renovating their back room for this addition. That they said, they'll just want to have like the basic DIY like repair kind of products. They're hoping to open that in March or April.
That's fantastic. That reminds me of one of my favorite stores. Period is Lake Ann Grocery.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have the slogan, if they don't have it, you don't need it. But I used to when I lived in Lake Ann.
That's good.
It was great.
It's bold.
I would go in there and you could get a plunger and like fish sticks and then also like some bourbon and shrimp. They have shrimp, but it was crazy.
Some bourbon.
It's just like, bourbon, plungers, everything you need.
Yeah. And then lastly, I'll just mention we had some mall updates that I think folks would be potentially interested in. So we've been covering for more than a year. Garfield Township has been looking at this nightclub and restaurant center that's called High Tops that's been proposed for the former Yonkers space at the Trailland Center. They finally got approval in December.
They did?
They did. So they had several conditions attached to that approval. The main thing the township has been worried about is this is a pretty sizable operation. It's like 3/4 of the Yonkers space there. There's neighbors who are really close to the back of the Trailland Mall and having a nightclub that's maybe going until 1 or 2 in the morning. There was a lot of worry about the neighbors about that. They had to go through quite a bit of hoop jumping on like sound studies and things like that. And they still have to prove some sound levels before they open, but it is approved.
Yeah. When's the last time you were at a nightclub?
Okay.
Was it yesterday?
80 years.
It's been 40 years. I mean, can you go to the nightclub at, like 5 o'clock? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah. I'm too old for nightclubs. I need to be really honest
But we
about
do
that.
need a nightclub, so there you go.
So something for the youth, not for me so much.
For the youngins.
That's supposed to have sports bars and all kinds of things in there.
Nice.
So we'll see. They've got some work to do, but they have the go ahead. And
I
then,
like the name High Tops too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the Grand Traverse Mall, we just mentioned Ollie's, which we've covered before in the ticker. I did talk to them today, and they are now planning to open in March. So they are in the former TJ Maxx space, big kind of like closeout excess merchandise kind of store.
They were just doing a big employer event or for, like a job fair event at the local Michigan Works.
Oh, there
I
you
saw
go.
a bunch of people. I was like, hey, Ollie's.
So they're
happening.
coming. Some closures. Francesca's is closing nationwide. They're closing all of their stores. JCPenney is still up in the air. We reported in December about this big company, Onyx Partners, that was going to buy all the JCPenney stores. That deal is kind of now in rough water. So the future of all the JCPenney's, including ours, is TBD. They're still open now, but we don't know. And then I just lastly mentioned in the story just some different furnishing and carpet business news, some new ownership, like at Golden Fowlers, floor cutting brokers.
Today's Home Furnishings, Golden Fowler.
Golden Fowler, for friend of the show, and then Value City Furniture by Boardman Lake, another company that's going through a national bankruptcy. That store is closing as well. So
Wow.
There, I wonder.
Yeah.
it's a big prominent spot right near the lake there, so that would be an interesting one to see what comes next.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, but we have everything. We're starting to get like everything we need. We've got go-karts. We've got the trampoline park that's coming.
Yes, I did reach out to them because they've been posting. They did not respond yet, but they look like they're getting ready to open soon. They've been posting a lot of hints that they're going to be opening soon. That's at the Cherryland Center as well.
Big nightclub.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be like,
and plus we've got our friends like the TC Phil, the Curling Club, Mashup. There's a lot happening at the Cherryland Center.
On. So at the Value City Furniture store, though, I mean, what could it be?
We'll see.
We'll see. I like
TBD.
it. Giant ball pit.
Yep.
Just one.
Sounds good.
One
just
giant ball pit.
One giant ball pit. I love it. Well, thank you for that. And of course, if you want to read more about that, just go to shrimpticker.com. That's also where you can find the shrimp story, which is fantastic. And Art, what we like to do is talk about what we're excited about this week. And for you, I'm sure getting your kids back to school.
Yeah. And I've been skiing with my oldest daughter, Nora, a lot, which has been a ton of fun. We've really been enjoying that. So I'm looking forward to doing that this weekend. I've been neurotically checking the bay all week long. The bay is not frozen since 2019. If it goes, it's the Super Bowl of ice fishing. It's the greatest thing in the entire world. And I can't ask for more. It's been frigid, it's been calm, and it just still won't go. So it's going to warm up a little bit more. Then we're going to have some more frigid temperatures. I'm hoping it's primed and we're ready to freeze.
But nothing above freezing for a while, right?
Nothing above freezing for a while, but when the bay goes, it literally will not freeze unless you're single digits or below.
Oh.
Now, the weird thing about it is once it freezes, that thing will build ice faster than anything else. And even if it gets up to in your high 20s, it'll still build ice.
Right.
But to get that first layer, it's got to be absolutely frigid, which is crazy because through the 90s, it was news when it didn't freeze. The thing froze all the time. Climate is changing, obviously, but it needs very cold temperatures for a very long time. So
thank you for teaching your daughter how to ski as a child.
Oh.
I didn't learn how to ski until I was in my 30s.
I didn't learn how to ski until I was 21, but you
Really?
grew up here. If you don't have your kids on skis by 9 months, you feel behind.
Yeah.
You don't have your kids skiing yet? Well, she's still in diapers,
Put her on some skis.
Yeah. No, she's
Exactly.
enjoying it. She's loving it.
Yeah, I was in my 30s, and I mean, it's harder to fall when you're in your 30s.
Oh, yes, it
it's
sure
a lot
is.
harder.
Sure is.
Well, Beth, what are you excited about this week?
Yeah, I'm going to a couple of writer series events, one on Saturday, one next week with TJ Klune, who's a big YA author, which I'm excited about. But I think what I really wanted to plug is Recess, because Recess is
It's my favorite one.
Yeah. Obviously the kind of like happy hour event that we do for our companies, our nice companies. And it's a new format this year. So we're going, instead of monthly, we're going to quarterly and then making each one bigger and better than ever. So we're really ramping up the prizes. The one coming up this week is on Wednesday at the airport.
That's
we're
always
giving
a big
away
one.
2 airline vouchers.
Two
Not one, but
vouchers.
2, valued at $500
Whoa.
each, plus a $100 downtown shopping spree, a one-night staycation at Hotel Indigo.
Nice.
Lots and lots of prizes. It's $15 to come. That includes food and drink tickets.
Nice.
And it's a good time. They'll even stamp your parking so you don't have to pay for airport parking.
See?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Bring
nice.
it in.
Yes.
So that'll be Wednesday from 5 to 7 at the airport.
Yeah, I always love to go to that one. That's a lot of fun.
That's always been the most
Yeah.
popular one.
Yeah, and it's good
people like
prizes.
the airport one.
Love that. I'm excited I'm actually going to the National Writers Series on Saturday as well.
And I'll
And
see you there.
I'm really excited about currently having a birthday.
Yes.
Next
What?
week,
Yeah.
we will be 1 year old
No
next
way. Are
week.
you skiing yet? You say that's what you do.
Gotta put currently on
Curly's
skis.
got to get skiing. Curly's got to be skiing.
Get the
Why
hoop
is
out,
Curly
everybody.
not skiing?
Do you remember the hula hoop?
Yeah.
That's how you teach kids how to ski.
Well, they have now it's just this inhumane like leash thing on
Oh.
a backpack, and people still use. There's all kinds of different methods.
Well, I'm excited about National Writers Series. I'm excited about the currently birthday. And speaking of that, we're going to be back next week with our friend Gary Gatsky. We're going to do a food fight episode to celebrate our birthday. So we're going to try some different cakes, right? That'll be a lot of fun. Thanks to Beth and Art for another great episode of Currently. As I said, we'll be back next week. 1 year birthday party to celebrate a full year of Currently News Roundup. And be sure to subscribe to the show on all platforms at crystalfrost.com. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to Currently with Crystal Frost wherever you get your podcasts. And you can watch us in full color on YouTube and Facebook. Currently is a Compass Local podcast produced by Pancake Boy Productions in Traverse City. Big thanks to Old Town Playhouse. Don't miss Misery on the main stage in February. And to the National Writers Series. Learn more and get tickets at nationalwriterseries.org. And special thanks to our lead supporter, West Shore Bank. Start saving today at westshorebank.com.